I'm happy of the things I've overcome, and I'm happy of how much I'm stretching myself and my limits.
I would say yes. Like I said, I wouldn't really change anything about me being here.
In honesty, I would say I don't even know what happiness really means in itself, but I think my response would be I'm contented.
Да. Я сейчас там, где я хочу находиться, и я счастлив от этого момента.
And I try to relate it more to myself. Of course, we need like some people around us or some activities, but yeah, I can say so that I'm happy.
In essence, I'm happy here. I'm happy that I came here, and yeah. I have no idea.
I'm so happy to be here. Really, really. I feel like Germany gave me an opportunity.
Okay, let's define happiness. I'm satisfied. So happiness could be for the moment now. Yes, now I'm happy.
Наверное, да, в тот момент я поняла, что все идет так, как надо, и я счастлива. It definitely has. I think you're being uprooted. And you enter a completely new space with different rules and dynamics, and you have to figure out who you are here, and what you live by here, because you used to live by different things before, and now you live by new things, but you also have to figure out what you want to live by.
На самом деле очень сильно, потому что только в эмиграции у меня получилось найти на самом деле себя. Мне кажется, что это случилось бы все равно, но то, как это произошло именно за границей, это, я считаю, правильный путь.
It's more than just migration or like this trendy topic in the media. I'm working on the field since 2013, so for 9 years now. And it affected me and influenced me since I was home in Alexandria, and also the connection with the sea and how you work in cases when people try to cross the sea. So I believe in freedom of movement, not just as a political slogan, but as a human fundamental right.
Иммиграция в корне поменяла мою жизнь, потому что в Москве у меня все было достаточно спокойно и уже устаканено, если можно так сказать. У меня была работа, арендное жилье, и я решила, что мне нужно двигаться дальше, и иммиграция будет прекрасным испытанием и проверкой себя на прочность.
Migrating first to China and then to Germany, I think it did a great deal on helping me with, mental health and stuff like that. Because if I were to still be in Nigeria, I'll probably be a very bitter, sad person right now. But coming to see the way the Asian world really is, not just what you hear in the media or what you see in the media, right? It's kind of gave me a different perspective, more to see the world from the different lenses. So first from the Asian and then from, European point of view. So it's really good. Like, I think it helped me a lot. First, recognizing what the mental health actually is, and then, also helping with solving some of the mental health issues that we have.
Yeah, definitely. I think in interesting ways, actually, because it's been a sort of calming effect, but at the same time, not, in the sense that, I think with COVID and everything, like, it was kind of one of the first times that I just have to sit at home, and I like sitting at home. So yeah, it's been impactful in that way. But on the flip side, it's also the quietness, the solemnity that it's how do I put it? The solemnity can be overwhelming. At the same time, it could also lead you down the path of depression. So it's been all sorts for me, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. It was the 21 April 2019. It was a bit easier for me because I already had my best friend that we studied together back home, and he came to Potsdam, Germany one semester before me, so it was 6 months before me. So I already found him like at the airport. I had like my ukulele, so I even like was like playing like music for him, and I was like happy since I could like join him. We were like best friends back home.
Первые дни я не чувствовала вообще ничего, наверное, потому что мне было страшно, я заблокировала все эмоции. Но на третью ночь после переезда у меня началась истерика. Мне стало невероятно тревожно, я думаю, что же я наделала в своей жизни? Меня здесь никто не ждет, я здесь никому не нужна, как же я буду здесь работать и зарабатывать деньги? И не совершила ли я самую главную ошибку в своей жизни? Я рыдала, наверное, несколько часов, и мой молодой человек просто успокаивал меня, гладил по голове и слушал все мои переживания и всхлипывания.
I was grateful because I went to my VG that I had already found. I was very lucky. I settled down, and then I made it a point to go buy, I wanted to buy winter clothes, so I went to Uniqlo because I was so scared of the cold. And then I made it a point to eat currywurst, and it was okay.
Yes, I remember I was with my friend Denise, and she got me from Tegel. I arrived to her house because I didn't have a place to stay, because in Berlin you cannot find a place to stay for a long time. And then I arrived in her house and I burned sage in all the corners to clean the area, to open my way, open my opportunities and possibilities. We did this little ritual together, and then we went to drink a beer.
Я приезжал за границу дважды на долгий срок. И оба раза, пока я ехал и пока я туда приехал, это было восхищение. Я был рад как ребенок. Я радовался, все казалось таким новым, прекрасным. Но в обоих случаях это потом очень быстро сменялось такой тревожностью, расстроенностью, непонятно, что делать, страшно, потому что всегда приезжал один, у меня не было, ни друзей, ни родственников, и это потом было очень страшно достаточно.
A friend of mine came to pick me up from the airport, and I remember coming out of the airport, I was like, wow, this feels really white. And then it feels really clean and really fresh. And then so far, coming from Stuttgart to Berlin is a whole different picture, because Berlin is more artistic. It brings out a lot of color, with different nationalities. So yeah.
I arrived in Tegel, and I had to meet a friend during her lunch break, coming from the airport for the first time in Berlin by myself. But I'm a field researcher, so I used to go to strange places, even risky places. But I had, without internet connection, to find out my way with the German language when everything ends in the Straße. So I thought, okay, this is kind like in Arabic, we just start with Shara. So all the name of the streets start with Shara. And I wanted to go to Kutbusatur, and I didn't have any clue what Kutbusatur is. I arrived in Kutbusatur, and I was like, damn, this is Mahattat Masr. Like really, it's one of these big train stations in Egypt, when you see different people anytime with different styles. And it was my first time in my life to see a full tattooed guy.
So I came on April 22nd. I left Nigeria April 21st. And that was the Easter Monday, so it was a public holiday. And I was in for a big shock because I thought that public holiday was the best time to actually, come here because everybody's going to be out and everything is going to be nice. And then I got here and it's a public holiday, and I didn't know that a public holiday meant that there was nothing working, so I also didn't have accommodation. I also wasn't sure if someone was going to come to the airport to pick me or not. So I kind of had to struggle a lot with figuring out where I was going to go. I couldn't get a SIM card, so there was no internet or whatever on my phone. So I essentially have to go from bus stop to bus stop, or train station rather, to connect to the internet and then figure out where next to go, So basically when I remember that day, I kind of think about the train, and the amount of tickets I bought that day, because I also didn't know, and nobody told me when I kept asking, oh, how do I get here? They just said, yeah, buy a ticket. And so I kept buying single tickets.
In my my BSc, I studied English, although I tried to incorporate a lot of other languages in between. So I'll probably be an English teacher somewhere, or maybe a language teacher of some sort. But yeah, that'll probably be it, or probably married somewhere.
Я думаю, что я была бы потухшей, потому что на данном этапе жизни мне в Москве стало скучно. И я осознала, что мне ничего не интересно, что у меня нет будущего в этом городе, и что я просто топчусь на месте, и моя жизнь никак не эволюционирует. И, наверное, это был бы застой. И, собственно, миграция — это, да, вот такая попытка борьбы с застоем.
On some levels, it would be easier because I would be home and with family and so on. On other levels, it would be hard because I would be home with family and so on. No, I think I would not have had the space to really explore who I am if I hadn't come here. And it would have been slower and more difficult.
I would just be the same person, but I will always have this feeling or this urge where like, okay, like I'm supposed to be somewhere not here. Being here, I was able to explore, like when it comes to my gender, sexuality. To be honest, I'm still having a hard time trying to figure out, like, what is gender, what is sexuality, like how do you I'm still kind of new to that. I can actually explore this part of me, like being queer.
Наверное, я бы много идеализировала. Я разбила очень много своих собственных стереотипов, которые у меня были о жизни в Европе, о других странах Европы, о Германии в том числе. И я думаю, что я больше немножко down to earth сейчас. Я понимаю, что возможно, что невозможно. По крайней мере, как это вижу я. Опять же, это только, да, мое видение.
I guess my life would probably have been in kind of different direction. Because, you know, coming to Germany is kind of like starting all over again. And I usually say this is the second starting over, right? I moved from my hometown to Lagos, and then I spent like 10 years in Lagos, and then I moved again to come to Berlin. So if I had been in Nigeria, then I think I would still be in Lagos, and then I think I would still be working in SEO, I guess, or digital marketing as I've always done. But it's not essentially so different, to be honest, because I'm here, I'm still doing SEO anyway, even though the idea was to go out there and do something different. And, you know, but again, you kind of find yourself going back to the same old thing in a different way.
Сейчас это уже сложно представить, потому что моя жизнь не сложилась бы совершенно по-другому. Вот во всех абсолютно моих аспектах, пожалуй, был бы другим. Может, у меня было другое увлечение в музыке, либо я по-другому мыслил, или что-то еще. 100% у меня была бы другая работа, цель жизни и так далее. Так что я считаю, что иммиграция повлияла на мою жизнь, и в хорошем смысле, я думаю.
I would feel really defeated. Like I wouldn't be the person that I am in a way. I would feel desperate and angry, and I would feel like I defeated myself because I didn't follow my dream, and I would be sad. But I think everybody finds a way to live. I would find my way to live, of course, but like I think I would feel like that.
A different developed version of me, but not me now. Because the experience here and the life, even the daily life, the daily stress, the German bureaucracy, the German language itself, the mentality, the people that you meet from around the world.
I belong to my body, I believe. Like, because I didn't belong to Istanbul, I didn't belong to France. I don't feel like that I belong here. And I had this mentor, that shamanic Turkish lady, like, because I was also hearing this belonging team around me, like, you should belong, you should root. And I was asking, like, why don't I belong? And then she told me, like, you root in yourself, and then that's where you belong. So wherever I go, I belong there.
Belonging, I belong to my principles, to my beliefs, wherever I am. Belonging, it's not a physical aspect for me. Exile, it could be positive, but for me more, it's the definition of you are free to do and to go wherever, but not your hometown. Not to meet your old friends, not to get contact to your old life, to your experience, to your family. So this is exile, and I'm living it and trying to make a best of it, like it's worth it.
I introduced myself earlier, and I said, my name is Sofia. I'm Yoruba. I'm from Nigeria. And I think it's just continuous that way, that I'm always kind of going to be Yoruba, Nigerian, before anything else, and it's just what it is. But I also think it's a privilege in the sense of also, like, I came here when I'm already in my 30s, right? So it's not, I already have an identity. I kind of already figured out a bunch out of my life, I mean, we're still figuring it out, right? But it's not I'm not confused about, if I would be German or if I would be, what have you. So, I'm just, home is not here, of course. I mean, at least for now, it's not here. It's probably not going to be. But then it brings up different questions of what is home, how, and is home the nuclear family? Is it the extended family? Is it the familiarity of the environment and space? Is it love? It's so many questions in one, in that sense. But right now, no.
There was one night, like, I applied like fucking 100 jobs in a day, and I went to sleep, and I started to have nightmares. I woke up, I went to the toilet, and I fell asleep on the toilet, and in I don't know, it was like a morning or something, and I woke up in the toilet. I was like, shit, is this my life right now? Like, it was the darkest point that I get. And after that, like, this is, like, if I had a fucking valid passport with these stars on, I would not, I wouldn't sleep on the toilet that night, That was the lowest that I got. It was so fucking traumatizing.
В первом моменте это было, когда меня обсчитали в магазине. Достаточно, для меня это было крупно. Я туда расстроился, ходил просто как не в себе, дня 2-3, восстанавливался. А второй случай, когда я приехал, и оказалось, что все магазины закрыты, и ничего не работает, и я просто не понимаю, что в таком случае делать. У меня нет нормальной связи, потому что интернет тоже мне не дали, то есть там не так все просто оказалось. И по итогам я просто один, без связи, мне надо еще на учебу как-то пойти на следующий день, еды где-нибудь купить, вот это все у меня просто в голове. И я такой просто как-то лег на кровать и просто закрылся одеялом и лежал какое-то время, восстанавливался.
I thought that some shackles that I had back home, I thought they would go away, but they're not. They don't go away. They remain, and they also remain mentally in your mind. Like, it's not easy to let go of things you thought you were freed from or whatever. They still remain young.
Это было постепенно, не резко. Мне очень помог, как ни странно, велосипед. Я до этого ненавидела велосипеды и велосипедистов, но мне друг подарил свой старый велосипед. И всю свою тревожность я пыталась успокоить через то есть, катание на велосипеде. Я где-то проезжала по 20 километров в день, и таким образом это помогало мне как-то прийти в себя. Постепенно я успокаивалась, но, наверное, все-таки такая, сказать, полуповоротная точка — это тот момент, когда мне одобрили мой вид на жительство на 3 года. Когда я получила одобрение в Ausländerbehörde, тогда я смогла хоть как-то выдохнуть на какое-то время.
There was this guy who used to be in Nigeria in the tech space, and he was building something, and he went to the US, I guess, and then he died there. And I think the sister found out the second day, because the sister was also in the same city and all of that, and it kind of stayed with me in the sense that I don't know who knows where I stay. And if nobody hears from me, they probably need to contact the, what's it called? The rat house to get my registration, to kind of check all of these things. And he was like, yeah, this is what migration is. It's uprooting, it's, it's building all over, it's trying something new, it's being foreign.
Изначально у меня не было четкого представления, что такое Германия, потому что я приехала из Казахстана, до этого у меня были кое-какие поездки по Европе в разные страны, и у меня не было четкого понятия того, как люди живут в Германии, на севере Германии, как люди живут в маленьком городе на севере Германии. И да, наверное, после где-то пары месяцев, когда я действительно увидела реальность, что такое жизнь в этом конкретном городе, кто такие мои конкретные однокурсники, одногруппники.
But then in Germany, a lot of things to do. Tax ID, Almodong, this and that. And I was like, But I understood that it was a system. And before I came, I also knew that, bureaucracy and all that. And then after some time, getting a job at first was a little bit tricky. But when I got in, settling into the job was also a problem. But I think it's more of looking at the bigger picture, right? So it's more of looking at, okay, what did I come here for? Am I actually on the right trend? Am I on the right path? And that's why I would say probably changed my perception of, migration and all.
Like you are cutting a plant from its roots. Well, yeah, and even not trying to put it somewhere else to rise, but instead you just threw it to the wind. Sometimes this is my feel. This is the toughest feeling. Like when I leave myself, because at some point I just need to go to this kind of street coffee shop, like the traditional Egyptian coffee shop, to meet people by chance, by coincidence, talk, blah, 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 playing dominoes, drink coffee or helba or whatever, then have a walk next to the Corniche, to the sea, and go home. This is something you cannot do it here.
Это одиночество. Понять, что только ты отвечаешь за свои поступки, никто другой не сможет тебе помочь, даже если очень хотят, но моментально помощи ждать неоткуда, и нужно искать какие-то варианты в любом случае. И это очень было сложно принять.
In Morocco, even if I was living like far from my hometown, I would like find friends that they can really stay with me and take care of me. But here, unfortunately, it's not the same. They can like call you, ask about you, how are you? If you need something, just like call me. But like I can't like ask people to do me a favor.
I think financial strain was horrible. It's especially in a pandemic when we're all graduating and we're like, we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know how what we'll offer in this new world that can support us. You have to really believe in yourself as a young person and as a migrant. You have to really make a big leap of faith and be like, I will figure it out, because there will be moments where it's not sorted out for you. You can't find a place to stay, or you're jobless, or your mental health is not the best, and you just have to be like, okay, I will get through this.
It's one of the craziest things about coming to Germany, looking for an apartment here. Oh my God. And then I wouldn't really say blending in with the people, because as I said, Berlin is a mix of cultures, so it was quite easy for me to blend in. And I wouldn't really say looking at me, as a black person, because I faced worse things in China. So here, just like I would say, piece of cake. Kind of, but then again, it still doesn't mean that there aren't some of these issues that are underlining.
Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of love, freedom of body types, freedom of gender rules, freedom of everything, freedom of freedom. I love Berlin for that.
Meeting new amazing people that are doing interesting things and have similar values. Feeling like there's a lot of cool projects in Berlin that I can maybe, you know, join. Like I think it's still a place that gives you room to play a bit, or like to do things that you're not completely alienated by.
The nicest thing about coming here is surprisingly how receptive the people are. You know, most times, I mean, the misconception is that Germans are very strict and they don't talk to people, and you know. But I've met a lot of Germans that are actually quite nice, and they're very. I mean, one thing that's really stood out for me was the first time I went to a grocery store when I came here, and I was trying to speak the language. It was a mess, but you know, I was actually trying. And then the lady at the counter, she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm so happy that you know you're actually making an attempt to speak." I'm like, okay, you know. So they really warm up to you if you attempt to speak the language, and they actually help.
I'm living the dream.
So always been a social person. Like I've always known like the value of community, you know, like if you're feeling lost, or if you really don't have anything, your people are going to be there for you, your friends, your family, you know, like there will always be a community for you. But being here, I think I was able to find a community. So I have like the Filipino community. It's always like a very communal, very collective kind of thing, where like I would just tell them, hey, I'm not feeling well today. Can you send over some groceries or maybe some home cooked meals? Or this is also something that they would offer too. And then I have my other, like the international community here. So basically like non-Filipinos were also helping me out. Just always talking on the phone, or video calls, or just having like one-on-one sessions over like coffee or alcohol.
My strategy is to numb the pain, move on, get your shit together, meditate, burn sage, pet your dog. Where's my dog? I need to... Okay, what was the question?
Я слушал музыку, я старался выстроить себе рутину. То, что я в определенные часы дня делал только одни вещи. Там учился, либо после этого ходил в спортзал, старался себя занять и как-то постепенно вливаться в весь этот ритм жизни в другой стране. Вот так, собственно говоря, мне кажется, и постепенно случалось. Но это не решало все проблемы, то есть там по-любому нужна была помощь извне, чтобы какие-то решились разногласия внутри себя. Но в целом вот начало было именно то, что составить себе рутину. Вот это мне помогло.
There's different strategies. One of them is watching movies, like Egyptian movies. To do things make me feel I exist. Because with this kind of exile life, sometimes you feel you are not exist in anywhere but your own life. So to contact with friends here or friends at home, to discuss things, to be effective and has a role in your loved one's life, that also help.
You have to make peace with the microaggressions that you might face in your host country, the racism that you might face, you have to recognize that we're in a very xenophobic world, and to not take it personally. And
мне очень помогает общение с моими русскоязычными друзьями, которые уже пережили опыт иммиграции раньше. Мне очень помогает их опыт и слова поддержки. Особенно меня поддерживает то знание, что я не единственный человек, которому иммиграция дается тяжело, что все люди прошли через какие-то сложные эмоции, через какие-то сложные чувства. У кого-то была депрессия, у кого-то такая же тревожность. И знание, что я не одна, что я не лузер, что я не профокапила все, что это нормальный процесс, и со временем мне будет легче, и потом я смогу обустроиться. Это мне очень здорово помогает. Да, поддержка друзей.
I just listen. I listen to podcasts. I reach out to friends, at home. I mean, I watch the TV, I ride on the train, people watch, and yeah. I also just kind of try to, what's it called now? Introspect a little bit and, think about things, think about the journey, think about where you are, think about your privileges. And, and also kind of, just itemize things. Where are you? Where do you want to be? And stuff like that, yeah.
Очень часто сейчас с друзьями, с подругами и даже внутри нашей пары, да, с Лючей мы обсуждаем психологов, мы обсуждаем разные платформы, где можно найти психологов. Я очень за это, и я думаю, что это очень здорово. Слушаю разные подкасты. Лично я к психологу еще не ходила, но я думаю, что это очень скоро случится. Я думаю, что я от этого только выиграю.
Mind the kind of circle I have, right? So I have a very close-knit circle, just very close friends, right? And then most times, if anything happens and I need to talk to someone, they're usually the ones I talk to. And I try not to be alone, some occasions when I just want to be on my own, have some peace, try to calm down, However, in some occasions too, I don't want to be alone because a problem that is shared is kind of half solved, right? So if you have someone that is in this same kind of situation with you, it's like, oh, okay. They understand where I'm coming from. They know how to help.
I feel myself in Berlin. Like I feel that the only obstacle is the language, and I'm sure that it comes with time. So no rush. Sometimes I feel I'm a stranger, when I'm the only black guy among 99 whites, and then they start to look at you. Especially in some places, some avenues. But in general, no, I don't feel that feeling.
Скажу так, я ездила в Москву 2 раза, я поняла, что я там уже не своя. Особенно недавняя поездка в декабре показала, что Москва мне не дом, и я в гостях. И вернувшись из Москвы в Берлин, я поняла, что да, теперь здесь мой дом, и плюс, пусть я еще не совсем здесь своя, но мне здесь комфортнее, чем там.
Я думаю, что я чувствую себя больше своей в Берлине, потому что это город, в котором очень много иммигрантов, очень много людей с разным бэкграундом. И здесь я чувствую себя своей. Тем более сейчас я живу в Фридрихсхайн, это очень все-таки восточная часть Берлина. Часто я прохожу мимо многоэтажек, как будто бы я никуда не уезжала из Алматы, где я жила до переезда.
Я бы сказал, ни тем, ни тем. Я не чувствую себя чужим в этой стране, но я и не чувствую себя своим тут. То есть это просто я, как я приехал. Да, вот в моей родной стране, в Украине, я чувствую себя своим. Там вот мне нравится и дух, и вот я чувствую, что это мое. Если я не чувствую этого, в то же время не чувствую, что я здесь чужой. Здесь точно так же ко мне относятся, просто как я сюда приехал.
I found my peace when I got a full-time job. Even though the job is stressful or however, actually it's my dream job. So it's worth it that I stayed here. But it gave me the power of okay, I'm here, I'm not gonna go back. It's over. I will have money, I will earn money, I will be here, and I shouldn't be panicking about moving out again or risking my life again.
Да, я думаю, что, если чертить график, наверное, первые пару недель, первый месяц все шло только на повышение. Наверное, первый пик, да, где-то после месяца, когда все более или менее устаканилось, когда есть уже не просто национальная виза, а студенческий вид на жительство, есть банковский аккаунт, есть все первые документы сделаны, да, наверное, это был самый пик, что все более или менее устаканилось. Я хожу в университет, я записалась на все курсы в фитнес-центре. Наверное, да. Потом пришла эта реальность. И потом были свои тоже ups and downs, но, наверное, спокойнее всего я почувствовала себя уже здесь, в Берлине.
I was lucky enough, almost immediately after I graduated, I got a job, and then it just felt like, okay, now I can start living life, Now I can buy some things I could afford some things I could, eat out and all that. So, yeah, that was the point where I was like, now I'm in Germany.
Наверное, это был вечер, это был пикник в компании друзей на Темпельхофе, который организовала наша общая знакомая и подруга Маша Ермошина. И мы собрались все вместе, был отличный вечер, был закат. Это была большая компания русскоязычных ребят, которые приехали также из России, Украины, Казахстана и других стран. Вот. И это был просто спокойный, классный пикник, и я поняла, что у меня есть компания друзей, и я поняла, что мне очень комфортно, и мне в тот момент стало как-то очень тепло.
There were a carnival in September here in Berlin, a parade for migration and freedom of movement, and it was more than 30,000 person, and yeah, for the numbers here, this is a number, and I was performing like Arabic rap in the streets. People are dancing, going with the rhythm and the vibes, and I was like, yeah, super happy that day.
Kind of funny that it's the happiest moments are when I'm flying out of Berlin and into another country within the yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. This is this weather is definitely something that I cannot ever get used to.
It was like shortly after I arrived, since the dorms where I'm living, it's in Potsdam and next to Sanssouci Park. I'm still like amazed of that park even after like 2 years and a half of living next to it. So I was like, damn, this is like the real place where I have like always to stay. And still until now, I prefer like to not move to Berlin, even if everyone is moving to Berlin, but I really love Potsdam.
I think that being in the Philippines, it was, I was there for, well, most of my life, so 26, 27 years. It was, I had a great life back there. So I got a good job, family, friends. I can pretty much do whatever I want, but moving here has always been like moving overseas has always been like one of the things that I want to do, because it's in the Philippines, like no matter how hard you work, that's not going to go anywhere, you know, especially if you're not really coming from a well-off family or if you don't have any connections, you know. So it's much better to move overseas. So I really wouldn't change the thing about it. I always say that I wish that I came earlier, you know. So I wish that I came when I was 24, 25.
Actually, I would like stick with the same option to move because I wanted like a new experience. I was like in Morocco, I was like kind of like in my comfort zone, you know. I speak like the same language that everyone is speaking, and even I could like make money with like different like things I used to do. I used to work in laboratories. I used like to teach English. I used like to make like some music videos for some artists. But the thing is that I was like kind of not bored, but just wanted something like really dark. I have like to get out of the darkness. If I stayed in Morocco, it would like never happen. That's why I just like, I had like so many options. I was like about to go to China. Later, I was like about to go to the US, but for like family reasons, I preferred like Europe, since it's close to Morocco, only like 2 hours something flight. And yeah, I had like the chance either to choose between France or Germany. And in France, I already speak French, so it would be easier. I wanted like to make it more difficult. Yeah, then I've chosen to come to Germany. Yeah, that's how it happened.
Да. Конечно, мне очень не хватает моей семьи, которая осталась в Казахстане, мне не хватает моих близких друзей, которые остались там же. Другие друзья у меня появились здесь, некоторые тоже переехали в другие страны. Но думая о том, как все сложилось, я думаю, что я бы по-любому переехала, и я рада, что все-таки я переехала.